So measuring is a massive part of sewing and dressmaking. You need to measure around bodies, you need to measure hemlines, you need to measure bits of fabric. So I've got a variety of different tools that can be used for this. So number one, obviously, is a tape measure. So it's a necessity for any sewer. So it's quite important to have a good tape measure, but simply because the cheaper ones do tend to stretch, which means that the width of an inch and a centimetre might be slightly bigger on your cheaper measuring tapes. Therefore, very occasionally you might need to just calibrate your tape measure against a solid ruler. So I've got a metal one in front of me, and I can see that this is all a-okay. So that's your tape measure. Standard ruler is also really useful. You may need to just quickly draw a line, or you need to sort of mark something with tailor chalk against a straight line. So having a ruler in your kit is really useful. Measuring out pleats, for example, is another good reason why you would need this. I've got a metal one because I just find that if I was working with a rotary cutter, it becomes a bit more multifunctional. The only thing I would just say is craft rulers and I guess your domestic rulers may differ when it comes to inches. So domestic rulers can divide an inch into 10 fractions, whereas craft ones are usually divided by 8. So just be mindful when you're looking at a ruler to see which division it is using, because in sewing, use 3/8 or 5/8. So that would be an inch that's divided by 8, and that'd be difficult to find on a ruler that has 10 fractions. So just be mindful. It's a bit of interesting insight there. Okay, I've got a couple of smaller gauges here now. So this is quite a useful one to have to measure up against hemlines or seam lines, and this is one that can be used, and you can use this slider to mark out where you want to place your hem. So this is really useful when you are working around the edge of a skirt that's got a slight bend to it, or a sleeve that's got a slight bend to it, because you can get a consistent marking all the way around. So if you need to mark out your seam allowance, for example, or your sewing line, you can utilize this tool. So these are very, very useful. And then this is finally, this is called a pattern master, and you'll see these quite often in fashion studios and in tailors, because it's used by sewists to alter patterns or to design patterns from scratch. And it's full of really useful curves and bends to make really accurate armholes or necklines. It's got seam allowances built into it. It's got pivot points, it's got angles. It's just a really, really useful tool if you are working with patterns, and an absolute must for me. And then finally, this is another version of a tape measure. So this is called an ergonomic tape measure, and this is very useful for taking measurements of yourself when you're on your own. So when you're taking measurements, it isn't particularly easy to do if you are flying solo. So what you can do with this is you can hook it into the device, release the mechanism inside, and it basically goes around your body and gives you a really accurate measurement for you to be able to utilize. Particularly useful when you're measuring around the bust, hips and waist.